Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I know it's 3 days now. We are having all implants everywhere. Morning 7:30 to almost 8 o'clock in the evening. And even you go to the restrooms, you'll get the posters related with the implants and everything. So it's full of implants everywhere. I know that these are last few lectures for today, and definitely we are going to learn something out of these particular lectures also. So my topic for today is crestal versus lateral approach. What are the current guidelines? So we are going to see the current guidelines and some of these approaches and techniques related with the sinus lift. As far as disclosures, I'm associated with the Ostem implants, and I'm KOL for them, conducting some of these AIC Ostem courses also. So when you think about sinus lift, where we have multiple options in the sinus lift, even we can avoid sinus lift in some of the cases. Like we have options of short implants, maybe tilted implants, and multiple other things. But it was given by Seong that we can do it like in half of the cases, even still the sinus lift surgeries are followed. Now if you see the sinus lift procedures, something like this. Sometimes you are crazy, and one of my cases, I tried doing it bilaterally, and we have, it's always a pleasure to watch something like this, where it's like you get the heart wall effect. But we know that the sinus lift procedures are very delicate procedures. They need delicacy, precision, and expertization because we are dealing with the membrane. Now, the membrane which is there, which is Schneiderian membrane, is very delicate, and we must learn these techniques properly to avoid complications. We have multiple options. Now, as far as the technique is concerned, as far as the approaches are concerned, and different tools which are available. Along with that, the different grafting, which type of grafts you are going to use. So multiple things are there in sinus lift. So you'll have to choose it wisely what kind of options we are going to have. Now when we think about approaches, particularly the crestal or lateral approach. Now as far as this, these are only the surgical approaches. These are not actually the techniques. So when you think about the approaches, we have crestal and lateral approach. Now, what is there in the crestal and lateral approach? When we think about the crestal approach, it's through the crestal region. Now, we are going it through the alveolar crest, and then we are lifting the membrane. That is a crestal approach. Whereas in the lateral approach, we are trying to approach the sinus through the lateral window, which is there in the anterior sinus wall. So that then it becomes, you can go more like it's an open kind of surgery. Different terminologies which are used regarding sinus lift procedures. Now, as far as crestal, we know that it is also called as sinus lift or indirect sinus lift or maybe closed sinus lift, whereas lateral approaches also called as sinus grafts, direct sinus lifts or open sinus lifts. Now, let's see what is actually the sinus lift procedure, which is done with the help of a casket now in this case. Here you can see that remaining bone height is almost 455, missing the 2-6 region is here, and this is CBCT showing the remaining say bone height here, which is around 4 mm. And so it's a simple procedure like what we do, crestal approach, like how you place regularly the implants, and this is with the help of again casket, and we prepare osteotomy, and with the same approach we lift the sinus as well as we go ahead and place implant. So in this case, I used these hydraulic lifters which are there in the casket, and then grafting is done, which is again some gel type of bone which we have used here. Now let's see how it is done, the hydraulic lifting with the help of this casket here. So these hydraulic lifters which we use is like to just lift the membrane. Now osteotomy is to prepare, like once we use these hydraulic lifters, the membrane is lifted with this, and it's kind of one of the safe procedure. Now here we push the saline inside, and we try to again retrieve it back to confirm that there is no perforation as such. Once you get again blood tinged saline back, that means there is no perforation in that sinus, and even you can see the membrane which is lifted and which is moving with these patient's breathing movement. Can you see here? The membrane which is moving around along with the breathing movements, and after that, once these membrane is properly lifted, then we go ahead and graft the area, and then finally we place the implant in that region. So this is about the Crestal technique, and if you think about the lateral approach, then in the lateral approach what we do is another case with missing 2/6 area. Now here you can see the remaining bone height is very less. Now it's almost almost 2 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters, and here what we did is we did lateral approach technique and lifting up the membrane again, and then this is a comparatively open approach. You can graft it nicely, and I could get some stability with even in the 2 millimeters. So simultaneous placement of the implant was done in that case, and you get the final outcome here where you can easily see everything nicely. So there are two different grafts, so you can see some variation in the radio opacity here. Now if you compare these Crestal versus lateral approach, the Crestal is easy to perform, healing is faster as the surgical site is very narrow, and comparatively it's low morbidity than the lateral approaches. As far as the lateral approaches are concerned, we can graft larger volumes. It's comparatively preferred in cases where multiple sites are there for implants, like edentulous area is more, and even we can avoid complications, even can manage the complications like membrane perforations, and it's an open technique. So these are some of the differences between Crestal and lateral approach. Now if you go through the literature, you will see that even in the recent literature by Michael Block, they have given that improvements in the Crestal approach. There are so many improvements, like we are developing new techniques, new tools for doing all these things. So there is a decreased need of lateral window approach nowadays. And this was again 2017 article where they did a split mouth study, and even they mentioned that the most patients prefer the Crestal approach over the lateral approach due to the delay in placement and other things. So there were two consensus which held regarding sinuses. One was in 1996 and 2016. Even this 2016 recent consensus says that it appears that any method that elevates the sinus membrane and maintains space will lead to new bone formation. Now depending upon the available bone, a commonly used method is transcrestal approach. So more it is followed now, and even the clinicians, they prefer Crestal approach over the lateral approach. We all know that we more prefer because it's comparatively the morbidity is less. But it is most important that surgeon must master lateral window technique also to handle potential complications of the Crestal approach. And then there are certain indications even for the lateral approach. So how we are going to select the sound? I think I must go back.
You have two options. Option A is to stay with your wife for the rest of your life. Option B.
So sometimes the options are very clear that we just look forward towards the Crestal approach as the approach while selecting the sinus lift cases. Now if you go through the existing literature, Fugazotto and Rosen, they have mentioned that RBH is this, has a significant influence on the outcome of crestal procedures. Now it is very important that if your RBH is less, the outcome of the surgery or the results can be comparatively less. Now what is this RBH? RBH is residual bone height or something which is remaining bone height. Now how we measure the RBH? It is from the crest of the alveolar ridge to the sinus floor. So from this region to the sinus floor we measure it. And from years we are following this particular like RBH as the only guideline for selecting any approach. Now if you see this classification by Misch, very old classification, which is again it's called as subantral classification, where they have given the RBH around 10 mm. Now the basic criteria for RBH for selecting between crestal and lateral was 10 mm. Anything less than above 10, they have suggested to go for crestal approach, and below 10 it is recommended that you use lateral approach, you select lateral approach, either simultaneous or delayed placement. After that, if you even follow Summers osteotome technique, it is mentioned in that the RBH should be minimum 6 mm, where you can achieve a good primary stability. Even as per the ITI guidelines, they have mentioned that 6 mm is a good RBH, where you can place implant above 6 mm, you place go for crestal, and below 6 mm. But then they have mentioned one more criteria in that: see the sinus floor. If the sinus floor is horizontal, if it is plane, then it's better to go for crestal approach above 6 mm. If even it is oblique plane, it's oblique, then they say that it's better you go ahead with the lateral approach in both the techniques, even if it is more than 6 mm. So multiple criteria which are given. Even if you see the article by Nicola Zitzman, and they say that if you are having a 6 mm RBH, you need to just lift it 3 to 4 millimeters. So the comparative results, if you see with this 6 mm RBH, are better than the other techniques. Now these were before 2000, the things were before 2000. Now after 2000, if you see these particular articles by Peterson and Lang, they say that 5 millimeter should be the criteria to select between a crestal and lateral approach. Now to get primary stability, they mentioned that 5 millimeter is good. And this was the article by Rosen, where they mentioned that the success rate drastically goes down. Like if it is 96% for above 5 mm, then if it is 4 and below that, the success rate goes up to 85%. It can be because of the membrane perforation, and it is difficult to achieve primary stability in those cases. So these are some of the guidelines which are given. So my point of view, if you are starting some new cases, or if you are new in sinus surgeries, I believe that 5 millimeter should be the criteria, and try to follow this 5 millimeter guideline, and then above 5 millimeter you can choose the crestal approach, and below 5 millimeter if RBH is there, better you can go for, and it's up to 7 to 8 millimeter. Above 7 and 8 millimeter, still it's recommended that you use short implants and you can finish your case easily. So below 5 millimeters also, when you are choosing something, it's better if it is between 3 to 4 millimeter, simultaneous implant placements are recommended. Along with the lateral approach, simultaneous implant placements are recommended. If it is even below 3 millimeters, it is better you go for delayed placement. That means first you perform lateral approach, grab the area, come back after 4 to 6 months, again you place implant, and then again you come back after say 4 months time, and then you load your implants. So ideally it is recommended. So again, recent articles in 2014 by Gonzalez, where they say that there are new surgical innovations, new say techniques, new tools which are coming up in the market for crestal approaches, and these are innovative techniques where now you can rely on RBH even 4 millimeters. So you can go below and you can test your whether you can perform the surgeries even at the 4 millimeter levels. So this is OSTEM protocol, where they say that above 4 millimeter you go for say crestal, and below 4 millimeter you can just go for the say lateral window approaches. Again the clinicians' preferences are changing. Now previously if you see old concepts about 1 to 4 millimeter, recently everyone is trying to do all the things at even less than 3 or 4 millimeters, and once you start your procedure even at the less than 4 millimeters also, and if at all there is a perforation, then we change it to the lateral approach. So these are some of the recent preferences, and even by Dr. Cho, who is the inventor of this gasket, he says that above 2 millimeters you can even try the Crestal approach, and there is no harm in trying the Crestal approach with this particular kit. So even if you compare the Crestal lateral approaches with the short implants, it is said that even if you are doing a procedure with Crestal approach with short implants, it has more success than doing a lateral approach and placing longer implants. So that's what is they have mentioned by Esposito. And now in the selection criteria, we have seen the selection criteria where RBH was the only guideline in the past. Now we can come to some other guidelines or other factors which are again to be taken into consideration while selecting Crestal versus lateral approach. Now this can be like the edentulous span, then the width of the sinuses and some of the other factors. Now these are some of the other factors which we must consider apart from RBH is bucco-palatal width of the sinus. Then next will be the extent of edentulism. So multiple, like missing location of teeth and missing number of teeth, that even matters. Sinus anatomy, whether it's a horizontal or a sloped sinuses or it's an irregular kind of sinuses. Then most important, if you are doing some surgical procedure, now the approach is important, then the axis should be there. If the axis is not there, mouth opening and other flexibility of the cheek is again important. Lateral wall thickness. Thickness of the wall again matters, that differs, and you can choose the technique accordingly. Repeated implant procedures. Even in repeated implant procedures, it's recommended that you go with the lateral approach than with the Crestal approach. Some of the other things like some pathologies or septum in the sinuses, and again some of the recent extraction cases, we are going to see about all these things, risk of bleeding, and most important, the last thing is ability and the preference of the dentist. Now, if you see the larger edentulous spans, it is recommended that rather than doing it crestally everywhere, it is preferred to do a lateral window approach, so you can graft majority of this area properly, anterior, posterior, even on the medial segment, and so it's preferred. As far as the bucco-palatal width is concerned, now bucco-palatal width, either the sinuses are narrow or they are say wide sinuses. In wide sinuses, again lateral window approach is more preferred than the narrow approaches. In narrow, it's like you can go ahead and prefer the Crestal approach. Now what is the difference between lateral and say in the wide sinuses, you can easily lift the membrane, whereas in very narrow sinuses, the instruments which we use for lifting the membrane, they need to go down and again, so what we call them as the cobra elevators kind of thing. So it's very difficult and do it in very narrow areas. So it's preferred that you use Crestal approach in narrow sinuses. As far as width is concerned, we measure the width of the sinuses at the apical area of the implant, generally at the apical area of the implant, and it is preferred that lateral approach to be done in wider sinuses and again the Crestal approach in narrow sinuses. So they have given a criteria in the literature, they have given a criteria of 13 millimeter at the apices of the implant, where if it is more than 13 millimeter, it is considered as a wide sinus, and less than 13 millimeter is a narrow sinus. Now if you see this particular study by Sergio Spinato, they say that even if it is less than 5 millimeter RBH you have, if the sinuses are wide, then you better go for a lateral approach than the Crestal approach. So what happens in the lateral, in the wide sinuses and narrow sinus? In the wide sinuses, it is difficult to reach this medial wall of the sinuses. So the blood supply to this area will be comparatively less than in narrow sinus, where you can easily lift the membrane from all the different walls like buccal, alveolar, medial, distal easily. Even the angulation which is given here is very important between two walls, that is anteromedial and particularly the palatal wall which is there on the medial side. And they say that it's again going to decide the width. If it is very wide, say more than 60 say angle, then it's good, like it's a more of wide sinus, and narrow sinus is less than 30. Again, very difficult to reflect the membrane with the lateral approach in these cases. As far as the zygomatic, now we say that lateral wall, that is the anterior wall of maxilla, particularly divided into anterolateral and posterolateral wall. Now the zygomatic buttress is again very important here, and the vision part particularly, if you go and see, this is the anterior to the zygomatic area, buttress area, the vision is very good in this region, which is a bright side, and then we have a darker side if you go posteriorly. Now, when you are doing a lateral approach through this area, sometimes it is very difficult to see the things, and even you can perforate the sinuses with this particular approach. So, missing tooth location, particularly they say that premolars, molars, and even the second molars. If you see the sinus width, it is like in the premolars it is comparatively less, in molars it is wider, and as you go in second molars it is comparatively again narrower. So, if you are doing some procedure, particularly in the say premolar or molar, it's anteriorly, so window is anteriorly, comparatively easy, whereas in say first and second molars it's moderate, particularly in second molar area. The access to this procedure is very difficult to get, particularly when the patient's mouth opening is less, patient is very chubby, and you will feel that why you are started with this procedure, nothing is visible, you shout on your assistant, and it becomes very difficult in these particular cases. So you want something like this. So in these cases, you want like open approach, and you are already doing a lateral approach, which is an open approach, but still the access is not good, and sometimes it is preferred that you go for crestal approach. You take a risk initially and you do with that. So very thick walls, like even the walls we know that 1 to 2 mm thick they are, but sometimes they are very thick, particularly in zygomatic buttress region, can be a 5 mm thick. So it's better you go crestally and access these areas rather than going it laterally in some of these cases. Again, in recent extraction cases, now we know that the membrane is adhered to the apices of the teeth in some of these cases. Now, if you prepare a window and try to lift the membrane, it's like 2-3 areas of bumpy areas are there, and it is difficult to reflect the membrane with the lateral approach in this. So, crestal sometimes is preferred. Now, another things which is inclined planes which are there of the sinus floor, as well as some of the septa cases. Now, if you see this particular case here, can you see the sinus floor, very inclined kind of sinus floor, and with the osteotome techniques and other techniques, you can get perforations in this case. So, I prefer to go for lateral approach in this case, and then maybe the success is comparatively better than what you can do. It can work in some golden hands are there, they can do magic with any RBH or any kind of floor. But I feel these are certain guidelines which are given in the literature, and you must follow these particular guidelines. So this is the final prosthesis which is given in that place. Now see this kind of septas. Now these cases are difficult for either crestal approach or lateral approach. If you have two different compartments, I'll prefer to go for crestal approach and to do it separately, and these things can be followed. Now another thing which is considered in lateral approach, the most risky part is the artery which is there, which is the intraosseous and extraosseous component of, because we know that there is anastomosis from the infraorbital and posterior superior artery. So they have these two arteries, and while selecting the lateral approach, when you are preparing window, you must take care of that artery which is passing there. Even when you reflect the flap, when you give releasing incision, the extraosseous part can get damaged with this, and we must take care of that extra. So this is the intraosseous part of that artery, and it can bleed while you are doing some procedure in that. So we must measure it from the crestal region, the intraosseous part of the artery, and we must take care. So sometimes there is even the resorption, alveolar crest resorption. So you need to move the window upward slightly. So here you can see that the window which is moved upward, and then it can damage these particular walls. So what are the other factors apart from these particular criteria? Is like additional cost in lateral approach, like two membranes, sometimes one is towards the sinus floor, sinus membrane, and one is outside. So additional costs are there which are involved, and we'll have to graft it more also. The grafting area is comparatively, we get more with this. So even for management of complications, you'll have to choose a lateral approach. In majority of the cases, when you are managing the complications, you must choose a lateral approach. Like once the perforation is there, definitely it can be managed with the help of, because it is difficult to manage the perforations with the crestal approach. So we choose lateral or the crestal approach when you have perforations. Now in this particular case, which was like this reported with a graft infection. Now it happens when you have something in sinuses, we perforate the sinuses and the graft was pushed in the sinuses. So when I saw this particular case, we have chosen an option which is more of the lateral window approach to remove. Sometimes you need to take care of the help of ENT surgeon and to open up the medial meatus. This ostium opening is needed, and even face surgery is needed in some of these cases. Now when the implant is pushed inside the sinus, maybe you are doing a crestal approach and implant is pushed in the sinuses, then the best approach to remove the implant is we prepare a window. Like we call it as a lateral window, or maybe you can call it as like a Caldwell-Look approach, whatever it is. But then it's a lateral window which we prepare and we try to remove these implants. So one of my case where then you sometimes you break the rules, like RBH is very less and simultaneous implant placement you try, and the implant gets pushed inside the sinus. So very difficult situation, and then you need to search inside the sinus where exactly the implant is landing. Sometimes the patient is like lying down position and implant goes back, and you search everywhere, and once the patient is upright position, you can see that the implant. So in one of the x-rays, you'll see that the implant was even not seen in the x-rays, and implant was after, once the patient is back with uprighting position, you can see that the implant. I sent him for OPG because implant was not visible everywhere. So these things happen when you have some of these complications. So what are the different techniques and tools which are used? So we know that we use osteotomes, but there are certain, say nowadays we have some limitations of these osteotome techniques. So multiple techniques which are there regarding the crestal approach in the market. So if you think these are multiple kits which are available, I personally prefer using this casket for my cases, doing the crestal approach sinus lift, and it's comparatively a safe and predictable tool for doing crestal approach sinus lift. Now, what things are there in these particular kit is we have a drilling protocol, particularly drilling stage, a hydraulic pressure lifting stage, and bone grafting. So the drills are designed in such a way that they will not damage the sinus lining. Then we use hydraulic lifter to lift the sinus membrane, and then there are few things which are given where you can simply graft with these particular tools. Now another case with the crestal approach, you can see here particularly the CBCTs on both the sides. There was a edentulous area on both the sides, like missing posteriors. 7 were present, but 4 to 6 were absent. So almost the RBH was between 4 to 6 in both the cases. So we have decided that we'll go for say crestal approach in this case, and it was good on left side. The bone width was good, so normal sinus lifting with casket. On the right side, I did even simultaneous wrist split, and then the crestal approach casket we have used. Another similar thing what we do in lifting the membrane. So we push this saline inside the sinus. So it's a 0.5, 1 cc and 1.5 cc in, and we try to retrieve the saline. So that if blood tinged saline is out, that means there is no perforation. And if you are getting only bubbles, that means there is a perforation. So that's a tool to check whether there is a perforation in the sinus or not. So it was done on both the sides. So this casket can be used even in long spine edentulous areas also. But when you have wide sinuses, it's better you go for say lateral approach. So on the split area, even I did some online so grafting. GBR is done on that area, and the case was finished with. So what are the different tools and techniques for lateral approach? If you think about lateral approach, the most followed technique is still the conventional one, which was given by Boyne and James, and we still follow, that is the method using burrs. And let's see the lateral approach, how I do it. So the releasing incisions are must in lateral approaches. So with the burr, again you need to use irrigation. So this is something which we use for irrigation along with these straight hand pieces, and the simple technique of using burr. So you can use carbide burrs, or maybe in some of your cases you can try even the diamond points also. Wider diamond points, they are very good, like using in these cases. Once you see some lining, you can stop at that point and confirm that your this thing is window preparation is complete. And I use wall off technique, where we take out the wall and we use same wall later for covering that area. So you don't need to use membranes also. So you can use same wall there as covering that defect. So we try to lift the membrane from all the sides, anterior, posterior, towards the crestal area, and most important is the medial reflection, medial wall reflection. So you can see here, the medial wall reflection is done completely, so that we can actually see the medial wall. So if you are covering everything, that means you are getting blood supply from all the sides. Again, you can confirm, see the perforations if at all. And then finally the grafting and placement of the implant, which is again routine protocol what we do. Even piezo surgeries, along with the burr technique, piezo surgery units, we know that the perforations comparatively they are less. And in one of this case, I used piezo surgery, very less RBH. If you see in this area, even I use piezo, you can see small perforation even with piezo. So it's not the technique which is going to matter. Like every piezo will avoid perforations. It's not like that. The thickness of mucosa and other things are even important. So place 3 implants, and I did some grafting GBR here, because this implant was like comparatively there was loss of the buccal bone here. So even can see the defect which is here, particularly in that region. So grafted, and I used this os builder for maintaining that particular. So it's a kind of titanium mesh only. And finally, this is the after implant placement. So this is how we do this. So multiple kits which are available as far as the so Ostem prefers using it the last kit what we have here. So invention of efficient tools lead to the development and universalization of the crestal approach. So new tools are coming in the market, and the technique is becoming comparatively easy and simpler. Even guided surgeries in future will have we have a casket. So one casket will be there in the market, which is a guided casket kind of procedure. So it is becoming easier day by day. Lateral approach is still indicated for number of cases, and novel methods are being attempted using various new tools. However, the conventional method still they are used by many, and they are still in the mainstay. So if you see these conventional methods like osteotome or burr technique can be still followed, but we need to move forward, and we have these different tools for crestal approach like casket, and for lateral approach we have a lasket here. If you see the current trends of using this, 70% of cases which we do are with the, again, crestal approach, and very few cases with the lateral approach, 30% cases. And even the crestal approach, osteotomes are rarely used than we use caskets and other things. So grafts or no grafts in another topic to be discussed. So what you really see is dependent on your perspective. So whatever techniques you are following, it can be good for you. What your mind is trained to see. So whatever. So let's see how what kind of treatments we choose is depending upon what you like always. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh.